Hello, how are you today? I'm Jennifer.
I'm good. I'm Sarah. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
So what brings you in here today?
Honestly, I've just been really overwhelmed with a lot of stuff that's been going on in my family.
Okay. Well, I guess before we go into that, I just need to lay down a few basics about this confidentiality.
Okay.
Everything that we talk about will remain between you and I. The only way that I have to break these rules is if you're harm to yourself or others, if you're abusing or if I suspect you're abusing any elderly or children. And are you court ordered to be here right now?
I'm not court ordered to be here.
Other than that, everything we talk about is strictly between us. So is that okay?
Okay.
So then, do you want to go ahead? Do you want to explain to me what's going on?
Yeah, well, I guess for starters, I should go back a couple months.
Okay.
My mom is a really bad alcoholic, and she has been my entire life. And growing up, things were never easy, to say the least. When as I got older and became more in touch to the reality of what was really going on with her and her alcoholism, I felt that she kind of continued drinking more and more because she felt that it was becoming more accepted by me. I don't know, but she ultimately got really sick a few months ago, and that was almost something that us as a family was just waiting to have happen. And when it finally did happen, it was like I was ready for it because I had waited so long. But then,
So in a way, you were expecting this to happen. It was just a matter of
absolutely,
time.
it was a matter of time. The rate of her alcoholism was so like just excessive.
Do you feel it affected? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have three siblings.
Do you feel that it's affected you guys and your family?
Absolutely. My family has been totally destroyed by the alcoholism. And when she got sick, all of us over the years, we have just said, to her in arguments or within ourselves or whenever we would have family interventions, like, it's just a matter of time until you get sick. It's just a matter of time before this kills you. And then the matter of time finally happened, and it was almost as if we all expected it, but then when it happened, it wasn't what we were expecting, because it went from being what we expected times 1,000.
Really? And so you feel that took a toll on everyone. What about, is dad there in the family at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's been the number one. Like, I feel like he's taken on the role of both parents.
Wow. Okay. Okay, if you don't mind me asking a couple questions about like family and history.
Yeah.
Your current state of health, do you feel like your energy levels and your well, how are your energy levels with all this going on right now?
Very anxious. I grew up very confused with everything that was going on with my mom. I could never wrap my head around the fact of why someone would want to poison their body, or why she would be so selfish, or just know how she's destroying the family by us telling her our feelings and her just doing it anyways.
Yeah.
And it made me very angry. And since then, I've always just carried this like definite sense of resentment towards her, and anger and bitterness. And when I'm in her presence, it makes me anxious and I don't want to be there. And I hate that that's the way that I feel about my mom. And then when she got sick, it was like our entire world completely changed.
Did you feel maybe being more, as I'm understanding, she kind of pushed you guys away, correct, with all her drinking?
Absolutely.
Do you feel with her going to the hospital, it kind of brought you guys closer, or?
It was a long process. When my mom got sick, it hit us all by surprise. It happened really, very rapidly, really quickly, and it wasn't something that, in the moment, any of us were expecting to happen the way that it did. She had gone to the doctor, and she had found out through blood work that her hemoglobin levels had dropped significantly low.
Mm-hmm.
And she was supposed to go back into the emergency room. They had made a special appointment for her to get some blood transfusions done. And she refused to go in due to her selfishness and continued to drink that night. And the next day, my dad had gotten a phone call wondering, why wasn't she there? And he had no clue what was going on. And, he was out of town on a trip, so it was our responsibility as the children to go get her and take her to the hospital because whatever she needed to be there for was detrimental to her health. So when we brought her in, we found out, how low her hemoglobin levels were, and the doctors were very concerned that she hadn't come the night before because basically if she were to have fallen asleep again that night, they had told us that she would have fallen into a coma and never woken back up.
So you feel, is that affecting you, mentally? How's that affecting you? You and the siblings, like
For myself, it came as such a shock, and now just to know the process that we went through as a family from the moment she got sick and the domino effect of health issues that happened right after that, her going into the hospital, to basically almost losing my mom 3 times in a matter of 3 months, to her now being, 6 months later out of the hospital and out of rehab programs and whatever the stuff was that she had gone through, to have, like, now she's relapsed. So in the moment, it was like my mom went from being drastically sick, us thinking we were going to lose her, all of these traumatic events happening, and I felt like these moments were like flashing before my eyes, to her body miraculously healing itself, and then me feeling like I had a mom for the first time ever in my life, to just a few short months later her relapsing and going back to the way that she was.
you feel like it's affecting like your sleep and in other areas? Like,
I wouldn't say that
nightmares?
I don't necessarily have nightmares, but I have flashbacks for sure. When, there's moments, for instance, this past Thanksgiving, my mom, it was the moment that I had found out my mom had relapsed, and I could tell that something was going on with her. I've become hypersensitive to her and her habits for when she's been drinking, and I took it upon myself to go, like I had in the past, snooping through her things to see if I could find anything. And when I did, and I finally laid eyes on the hidden vodka bottles, I couldn't help but have like an overwhelming feeling of sadness from the fact that I almost lost her, to being angry of like, how dare you, to going back to those moments in the hospital when my mom was completely unconscious, not even able to open her eyes, not even knowing if she was ever going to open her eyes again, to just looking at these bottles and wondering, why are you doing this again?
Is this alcoholism and with mother, and has this any other previous health problems, has this run in the family, like in the past, or not just mom, but maybe grandparents? Or
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, my grandpa, I never really had a close relationship with him myself, but growing up, her dad, so my mom's dad, my grandpa, was a strong alcoholic, and she started drinking at such a young age with him, and ever since then it's just been ongoing. I don't think that my mom, I mean, my dad told us that the period of time that she was sober after being out of the hospital, from the start of her going into the hospital through the detox to her being out until she relapsed, was the longest time she's ever been sober in her life.
okay, okay, wow. Do you feel, I guess in a way, it's pushing you away to like not drink and be like mom? Do you feel, is it causing you any health problems yourself at all? Being so, let's talk more about you.
I can definitely say that it causes me to be really anxious, and when I'm in her presence, I just get all of these flashbacks of all the horrible things that she's done, and it makes it really hard to want to move forward.
Have you guys and then you talk about abuse? Has she like emotionally and or verbally, physically?
She never was a physically abusive person by any means, but emotionally for sure. Like when growing up, whenever my mom would start drinking and she'd reach the point of being drunk, I can't even imagine, like it makes it hard to even talk about because I've kind of just like pushed it back a bit, but like she resented my sister and I. Like she was always jealous of our relationship and
how you and your sister
and
felt
she
that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I can remember just whenever my mom would get drunk, or she used to say how much she hated us and she didn't want to be around us and all the nasty comments that would come out. So now it's like when she drinks, it flashes me back to those moments, and it makes it even harder now.
And you don't want to be around that, do you?
Right, I don't want to be around it. And it makes it even harder for me now because I went through this little short period of time when I had my mom, and was amazing, and I got to know what it was like to have a mom. And then now we're back to square one again, and it makes it really hard. So I keep finding myself going back to those memories, and I find it makes me really anxious. There's nights where I do when like something happens that day. There's nights where I go to sleep and I have nightmares of my mom in the hospital, or what would have happened if she had died, or how my family would be today.
Is there a family history of these emotional problems? Like,
I mean, my siblings definitely do. We all share common, emotional
common
issues.
ground with mom kind of being...
Absolutely, but we all kind of have our own way of going about how we feel about the subject because we all had our own personal relationship with her.
Okay. Are you currently taking any medication to kind of help?
No,
with
I've
this
been
traumatic experience.
No, I've been suggested to take, if I wanted to, like antidepressants and stuff, or anxiety medication, but I've never wanted to be that person that had to be on medication to be okay.
Looking at mom and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, hopefully, I guess you want to continue seeing and doing more sessions, I guess we could work on you first to kind of help being able to cope, and I guess being a little more understanding, and then maybe try to help you getting that better relationship with mom, I guess, and your siblings.
Yeah, I definitely want to